A plot is underway to remove masterpieces worth millions from Britain's biggest galleries. And replace them with freshly painted fakes. In one of the boldest swindles in art history. The fakes have been hiding in plain sight amongst the country's most important collections. Now, just one remains to be found. In a nationwide competition, 7 fakes were hung in national galleries across the country. And the British public was asked to find them.
That looks pretty similar to me.
Yeah, that looks the same.
In hunting down the imposters, gallery visitors looked more closely at paintings than ever before.
It smells old.
The hands are too long.
The arms are like big.
The arms look massive.
And were made to think about just what makes a masterpiece great.
Look at the amount of detail going into that back leg.
I think the spontaneity would be hard to copy.
Britain's best copyists were tasked with creating brilliant replicas to fool the public.
It is setting out to deceive, and that's the whole point of it.
Yes, why not? Why shouldn't I fool the general public?
Sourcing traditional materials.
This is, I would say, at least 150 years old.
They painstakingly copied every brushstroke.
The more I look at this through the goggles, the more I realise how much detail I've actually missed.
If everybody said, oh yeah, that's the copy, that would be my nightmare.
In an audacious attempt to deceive the nation.
It's like producing a fake and having it coming up in Sotheby's and seeing whether you can get away with it.
For our final challenge, there is one remaining fake hidden at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. Tasked with finding it are 10 people who have been selected from those who uncovered the most fakes in our national competition.
I've never been to the Ashmolean before. I feel like I'm in an episode of Morse walking around it. It's beautiful.
I'm excited. I was a little bit anxious last night. I had a dream that all my teeth fell out, which wasn't good.
This is the moment it all comes together. I haven't got a clue what I'm going into.
And for those who find the last fake, the tables will be turned. For the first time, they'll have to track down the only original painting amongst a load of forgeries.
I'm anxious to get in there and see what everything's about, really.
I really want to get in that room, but what I'm going to find in there, is it going to be like a Pandora's box? I don't have a clue what to expect from today. I'm just going to go in there and wing it, I think.
Our overall competition winner will be invited to commission their very own copy of a masterpiece.
I have to win so that he doesn't brag about it for the rest of our married life. And yeah, we're both really up for it. We're very competitive. You should see us playing Scrabble. You know, we go for the jugular.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get into the gallery because it's my natural habitat. I love galleries. It's not the place that should intimidate anybody.
In business, in pleasure, I'm the most competitive man you'll ever meet. And I'm a winner.
But there's one man who is not going to make it easy for them. The finalists will be up against one of Britain's most notorious ex-forgers, John Myatt.
I don't like the rules, frankly. Isn't there a bit of everybody that dislikes the establishment? The only time I ever really felt like a criminal was when the cops were banging on my door at 6 in the morning. It took 3 years, actually, from being arrested to getting to the magistrate's court because the case was so big. So I went off to Brixton Nick, which is a bit depressing.
Before his arrest, John had managed to convince the art world that 200 of his fake paintings were genuine.
They called it the greatest art fraud of the 20th century. It can't be, can it? The greatest art fraud of the 20th century. is obviously the one that's never been discovered.
Whilst forgeries are completely against the law, they've proved useful to us. Although John Myatt's forgery days are long behind him, he's putting everything he's learned into this final deception, and he's hopeful his fake won't be discovered.
We've really got all the odds on our side, frankly. You know, we're in an art gallery. We're in a frame, a gilt frame. We're behind glass. And we're surrounded by other paintings that may equally be copies. I mean, what more do you want?
The national quest has led us here, to the oldest museum in the country. We've locked the doors so that our finalists will have the place to themselves as they attempt to track down the last remaining fake. And then one of them will be crowned champion and win their very own fake masterpiece.
For the final, we're making things more difficult. Instead of hiding in just one collection, this time the fake could be hidden within 3 different genres across the museum. It could be amongst the Victorian art by James Tissot, Edwin Landseer and the Pre-Raphaelites John Everett Millais, William Holman Hunt and their contemporaries. Or lurking amongst the landscapes by John Constable or a young J.M.W. Turner. Or hanging with the British post-impressionists Walter Sickert and the Camden Town Group.
But with the fake now hiding amongst hundreds of paintings, they're going to have their work cut out. They'll have to find the right collection before they can even start thinking about finding the incriminating painting.
For the first time, those on the hunt will have to compete against each other to find the imposter in this immense collection. Their every move will be watched by art historian Rose Boldest.
Congratulations on reaching the final. Now just one day and one fake painting stands between you and being crowned champion and winning a fake masterpiece all of your own. So we're going to up the ante. Previously, you've had it relatively easy. You've only had to find one fake painting from a relatively small collection. This time, you have the run of the museum.
Consider the paint that's been used, consider the age of these paintings. Look at the brushstrokes, look at the colour, look at the varnishing and the glazes and the subtlety of the glazes.
Well, the whole museum has been closed for you. Off you go.
With just 3 hours to identify the fake painting, the finalists will have their work cut out for them. Somewhere in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford lurks the final fake. Trying to spot it are 10 finalists selected from those who uncovered the most fakes in our national competition. The fake could be hanging somewhere among masterpieces spanning 2 centuries of art. Hidden within 19th century animals and landscapes.
I love Turner. He's awesome.
Or amongst the post-impressionist works by artists known as the Camden Town Group.
Today is the first time I'd heard the phrase Camden Town Group. It is all new to me.
Or with the Pre-Raphaelites and Victorian art.
This has been stepped up immeasurably. I'm feeling the weight of this now because it's, you know, it's all these rooms. It's actually a little bit overwhelming.
Before this, it was child's play. Now it's time to really stand up and be counted.
They have got such a big task ahead of them. I mean, we've got all these different genres, from Landseer and Turner through to the British Impressionists. There's masses of them to focus on.
I know, it's all very well if you're just looking at Pre-Raphaelite paintings, but then suddenly you're looking at Turner's, which it doesn't look at all like a Pre-Raphaelite, and you wouldn't think it was a fake.
Yeah.
I don't have a strategy. It's just me and this and this. I'm just looking at the paintings, looking at the ages, but then you're going to get somebody that's really good painting this fake, so that's going to be a real difficult challenge.
I'm just looking for something that stands out, something that doesn't quite sit. I'm looking for signs that it's been painted freshly. It's obviously not going to be wet.
They haven't really got that much time. You can't just stand and look for ages in front of one picture. It's not like a nice, relaxing plod around an art gallery after lunch, is it?
It's different. They were questioned immediately rather than appreciating it for its subject or for its aesthetic beauty. Immediately criticising it and suspecting it and always putting the negative first. Now, that is a whole new way of looking at a piece of art.
That's how I look at life.
It looks like it's the real deal. You can always tell with the eyes, and to me looks pretty good.
The Pre-Raphaelites painted with bold colours and with an incredible attention to detail to create a realism that shocked the Victorian audiences.
I think it's an amazing painting. I was just looking at the detail in the water and on the rocks especially.
22-year-old Michael is a photographer and the son of an artist, so he feels as if he should know what to look for.
In terms of whether it might be a fake, I always said from the start that one of the things I start to look at, especially if it's particularly old, is cracks. But this seems to be covered in it, almost as if someone's just applied pressure once it was dried. It's literally all over the canvas. So that's throwing me a little bit.
There's just no way on God's earth that that's faked, because that is just a masterpiece.
Nee has started art classes with her mum in Liverpool and hopes this will give her confidence to track down the fake.
Look at this for water there, for see-through water. Even your best fakers would struggle deeply with that. I hope I'm not wrong, but there's no way that's faked.
Starting in the 19th century room are Rose and Melvin. They might be married.
I'm gonna go that way.
Okay, we're that way.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're going to work together.
I do not care what Melvin does or what any of the other competitors do. I'm completely ignoring them and I'm going to do my own thing.
Amongst the 19th century art is Edwin Landseer, one of the most esteemed animal artists.
I absolutely despise Landseer. It's horrible, sentimental, sludgy, and that stupid-looking face on that dog is very typical of Landseer, so I think I'm going to discount that one. It's a gut reaction. I think that's real. It's awful enough.
Look at this. See? Good artists always have good beards.
One of the most famous proponents of British landscapes was John Constable, who's come to epitomise the genre of pastoral English scenes.
Why is the paint wet?
David lives in Constable country, and the artist is one of his favourite painters.
He was an amateur meteorologist, really.
Was he? Okay,
yeah,
so the clouds are likely
the clouds
to be...
have got to be good. They're not bad. They're not that good, though. I have to say I'm a bit worried about that. Why am I telling you this?
Just throw me off?
Yes, throw me off.
The other master of British landscapes here is Turner.
There are a lot of pictures in this collection that you could misinterpret. If you look at Turner's early works, his early works are much more methodically done. They're much more carefully composed. But this is quite important because they not only need to know that vigorous Turner, but they also need to know what early Turners are like.
My initial reservations were how sort of flat that looked.
You know, that's what I'm actually thinking. Although it's got the characteristics of an original by the glaze, the crack, but the actual, there's a bit of a flatness to it, isn't there? That Turner doesn't normally have.
I'm liking this painting. It's not my usual kind of cup of tea, and it's definitely not the usual kind of Turner. It looks like it's his earlier work. He did a lot of architecture paintings and watercolours in his formative years.
Although trained as a fine artist, Phil now creates digital paintings and illustrations.
It's solidly done. It's got the aging, the patina across there. And I think if someone was to forge it, it's the little elements of light that are kind of typical Turner, almost kind of Vermeer-esque, the way he kind of highlights little points across a canvas, that I'd be surprised if someone could capture that delicacy of touch that Turner had at this stage of his career.
The most modern collection in which the fake could be hiding is by a group of artists who represent the gritty reality of urban life in London just before World War I, known as the Camden Town Group.
I know Gilman's work, and I think this looks right to me. The colours are very Gilman.
Philip's a retired arts development officer, now with time to indulge his passion for art.
These mauves and turquoises are very him. And that in itself didn't mean that it wouldn't be a fake, but the marks look very sort of slabbed on and sculpted, really. So I'm thinking that this is probably right.
I think the British Impressionists were great artists and they're understated. We don't really talk about them very much.
I think of an Impressionist as a sort of rotund Frenchman with lovely garden somewhere going, blush, 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 this is a bridge. That's the life of a painter. Why would you want to take a picture of your landlady in a flat near Euston?
Well, what the British Impressionists were doing, looking over the channel to what was going on in France. They were looking at initially scenes of everyday life. They were painting scenes that hadn't been painted before. And that idea is translated back in England. They chose to depict the urban city. They wanted to really get into the kind of nuts and bolts of London, the real, raw, true, grubby London. And the Camden Town Group artists considered North London to be the grubbiest of all. The real leader of this group was this guy called Walter Sickert. Sickert was the one who loved North London. He was the one who was painting prostitutes and music halls and brothels and dingy interiors.
I like the atmosphere he paints in these paintings. It's a snapshot of that era with gas lamps and boredom and dirty rooms and sadness.
Sickert's pursuit of realism meant his portraits were less than flattering.
She's delicious.
She looks like the Wicked Witch of the West.
She's absolutely stunning. She's wonderful, my kind of lady.
Green and sickly.
Green and sickly looking with Wallace and Gromit teeth.
The lady in the corner over there who, on the bump...
Ethel Sands.
He's tried to paint her entirely in the colours of mushrooms.
It's an extraordinary portrait. Yeah, I mean, Ethel Sands was incredibly important at this time. She was a great society hostess, she was American, she was very glamorous.
Everyone just used to walk around the room going, don't look at her teeth, just don't look at her teeth.
It's not flattering. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But actually, I think she would have loved it because it's wonderfully daring. Now, if you can... He's painting a picture of warts and all, but even highlighting it, going beyond what you would expect and creating a little bit of a horror, actually.
I know, I'm glad you said it, because it would have been wrong for me as a gentleman.
The fake could be anywhere amongst these collections of British art, so every painting is arousing suspicion.
Look at that cap. It's just not very well painted, is it? The trees are rubbish as well.
Do you think it's this one?
And they're all approaching it differently. Rowena photographs art for a living, which gives her a different perspective.
The problem with looking at painting straight on, because I'm going to whisper it so people don't hear me, is that when it's glass on it, the lights from here take out the definition and make the painting quite flat. So what you have to do is go down so you can shoot upwards and you can see the detail of the brushstrokes.
I think I've chosen mine. They haven't seen the other rooms, but I think that one by Home the Hunt. It's saying oil on canvas, but there's no shine to it at all.
Holly is a tattoo artist from Liverpool, so she's used to making decisions about art and not changing her mind.
So you're standing in front of this one. Is this because you think it's the fake?
I do, I think this is the fake, yeah. I'm going to write it all on this.
Really?
Put it all on the black, yeah.
Why?
But I'm not looking at the quality of the painting.
I should hope not, because it's not very good.
No, it's good, it's brilliant.
Well, no, look, but it's like it's a photograph when you accidentally got all the arms and legs out.
No, look at the gorgeous detail in the faces.
Oh, so it is all right? Are you happy with
I
it?
think it's a nice painting. I just don't think that it's oil on canvas.
What do you think it is?
I think it's acrylic.
Do you really think our copyists would have used the wrong materials?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I never try to use original materials because I don't like oil paint. Water-based paint is just so much better. Easier to use, quicker to correct if you make mistakes. Oil paint's useful for glazing.
And it's not just using the traditional materials that John doesn't like.
My first impression was, it wouldn't have been my first choice if truth were told. There's a certain kind of earthiness and, to me, unhappiness in the colour, which gives me a visceral feeling. To me, this is a bit creepy. Don't like it. But frankly, I don't have to get emotionally involved in it other than just to make damn sure that I get that feeling off my copy that I'm getting off the original that I saw.
Using acrylic paints isn't the only shortcut that John took to make his copy.
My problem is I've got to get this paint thick. When you look at all the other paintings in that room in Oxford, it's pretty heavy texture. And if I'm going to use acrylic, I've got to mimic that effect the best I can. This is called impasto gel. This is a quick way to build up that strange surface that he had in his original. I'm hoping that when people walk by, they'll think, ooh, that can't be a copy.
The finalists are scouring the Ashmolean Museum, scrutinising every detail.
Once you stand in front of a painting and talk about it, you could probably convince yourself that any one of these is fake.
In the pre-Raphaelite room, others are following Holly's lead and taking a closer look at the Holman hunt.
I haven't made up my mind yet, but this is one of the ones that I'm doubting. I feel like the figures aren't grounded enough for hunt, so they're not sort of solid enough. This painting is making me raise more questions than some of the other paintings.
I think it's one of the Holman hunts, yeah. Really? The reason I'm looking at all the Holman hunts is to look at the finish, and his finish was exquisite. I mean, they're garish, but the finish is absolutely perfect.
And is there a flawed one here?
There is one here, where the finish is pretty naff, actually. There's a little boy in this painting who's wearing a fez, and that's been quite clumsily painted and delineated, but that's what triggered the doubt in me.
You're narrowing it down.
Are you?
No.
Are you any closer?
No, this is just crazy.
I know, isn't it?
Now you're here, you're starting to doubt everything you're seeing and questioning your own suspicions and judgments more rigorously than you would ever do if you were just looking at art at face value. The things that I think I'm certain of, I'm suddenly not so certain about now.
The nationwide hunt to find the fakes hidden in art galleries across the UK has led to Oxford, where the final 10 people are searching for a fake in the Ashmolean. Halfway through their time to find it, some are on the scent of the deception.
The Sickets have definitely been my worries, I suppose. They've been kind of alarm bells a little bit.
I've been drawn over to this corner for some reason. I've got a feeling about some painting along here. I can't explain why yet, except for something to do with the paint on the canvas.
Whilst others are not convinced by one of Britain's greatest landscape artists.
I'm thinking it looks too new. It's too fresh. He was brilliant with his leaves, and I have to say, if I'm wrong, it wasn't one of his best ones.
I don't actually know if I'm right, but I just feel like the one that I've chosen, it's the only one I can argue a good case for. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to shut my eyes, because if I talk to anybody else, they'll probably make me change my mind.
With time running out, the other finalists are looking for every clue they can find.
Shadow there. Oh, yes, you're right.
But John endeavoured to make a fake so exact that there were no clues left to discover.
But the Ashmolean, I saw this fluorescent red that he put on the backs of the figures. It was such a shock, frankly. She's a bit of all right, this girl. Lovely looking thing, like her a lot.
The painting he's copied is Walter Sickert's Brighton Pierrots. Sickert painted it in 1915 from sketches he made on holiday in Brighton at the beginning of the First World War.
See, I'm tidying up now. I shouldn't really be doing this. Generally speaking, the tendency of fakers and copyists is to tidy up too much, or just, you know, make her face a little bit more detailed. And that is quite often a giveaway. But it's too tidy, not messy enough.
But far from tidying it up, John's using slightly more creative license.
And there's a figure here on the left-hand side that really annoys me, so I think what I'm going to do is actually leave it out. Just omit it. I just don't like the way that, whatever that is, comes in. I just don't like it. Obviously, if they know the painting, they will know that the figure who's sticking his foot out at the left-hand side is actually mysteriously vanished. But other than that, you just can't tell. There's a certain sicketiness in it that would pass first inspection. Good fun, this. I really like this bit. It's exciting. We're going to really beat up the painting. I'm going to tip coffee on the top of this. You can see it picking up the texture of the painting here. Here, look at this, how it's finding these little crevices in the paintwork. All good stuff. Touch wood, keep your fingers crossed. Maybe someone will walk past it and say, oh, don't think it's that one.
I wonder whether he spotted the really crucial thing about this painting. The legs are so important because what Sickert wanted to do is he wanted to create this sense of a snapshot moment as though a photograph was taken, and how uncomfortable it is when you just see a pair of legs sticking into a picture. The period groups became fashionable at the end of the 19th century, and this is 1915, and it's in Brighton, so you can imagine what was going on just over the channel. The guns were booming, the war had started, everyone had left, and here they are being jolly, you know, they're trying to evoke a sense of sort of mirth and fun. But actually, it's a deadening painting.
I feel like Sickert had a way of making a scene, a sombre scene, because of his technique, and giving it sort of a melancholy to it almost. Is that, like, it's just how I feel about it.
That would be really hard to fake. Something spontaneous like that. Along this row, I don't think any of these are the fakes.
Something that John Myatt will be pleased to hear, and he's just next door.
In the room, we've got a whole load of Camden Town Group paintings, a whole load of Boldest Sickerts, and yours is hanging on the wall within this room.
It's quite remarkable, isn't it? I mean, for any artist, frankly, to have that happen to them. I just wish that, you know, it had got my signature on it. It was one of my paintings.
I think they've got a really hard job on their hands. I think the big giveaway is if anyone knows Walter Sickert well, then they will know that there's a rogue pair of legs somewhere dotting around the gallery.
There always was a figure on the left-hand side of the painting that really annoyed me, so I left it out. I thought it was an improvement.
Right, wow. I mean,
isn't that arrogant
it's delightfully bold of you, John?
And ridiculous thing to do.
Hi, Phil.
Hi there.
You've been in this room quite a while.
I have been lingering, yeah. I've been milling over these three for a wee while, but
right,
this one,
and
the lovely looker on the end. But I keep coming back to this one. On oil paint, you seem to get a little drag, and the white's kind of muddy, almost, like it smears, and even on these bits, it doesn't seem to be there now. You can see a choppiness in the brushwork on the skies. I might be completely barking up the wrong tree.
The only problem I've got is that there's no dimensions to it at all. You know, like this is multi-dimensional. That is it's the kind of thing you put as an illustration in a book. So I'm not sure whether it's a fake or not.
Like, I feel like the way in which he uses these colours in the one that over there that we've looked at, there's such a depth, whereas this is kind of flat. This is what I'm thinking about.
I've got about 5 minutes left and I'm whittled it down to about 3 different choices, so I've got to have another quick look round and I've just got to then say which one of those 3.
OK, everybody, your time is up.
The hunt for a fake has forced our finalists to closely examine every artwork and judge the work of artists totally new to them.
Right then, you've had plenty of time to select the copy from this collection of masterpieces. So would you please now go and stand by your fake?
May the best woman win.
I'm in this room on my own, but I could be the only one that's right.
That was on my list, but
All of these were on my list.
David, you've gone for the Constable.
Correct.
And you four have all gone for the Holman Hunt. I can reveal that the fake is neither of them.
Oh, gutted. Oh, no, oh, no.
That's a disappointment. Sorry, John.
John Myatt joins the remaining finalists to unmask his fake.
OK, the fake is in this room. John, would you please go and stand by your fake?
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So John managed to fool 7 of the finalists, but 3 of them were not deceived, and they go through to the final round of the competition.
Oh, my word. I feel over the moon. Can't stop smiling. I can't believe I've just picked the right one.
Yeah, I got the painting right, so go me. Air punch.
I'm really happy to get to this stage. If I can win, fantastic.
Our nationwide quest resulted in 10 of the best fake art spotters scouring the Ashmolean in Oxford. Only 3 of them successfully identified the last fake, and will now go through to the final stage of the competition. For the first time, instead of finding the one fake in the collection, they have to find the only original.
So this is exciting. We've got 3 left. They've proven how good they are at picking a fake from a collection of real paintings. Now we're going to switch it all around. We're going to give them 6 paintings, of which 5 are fakes, and only 1 is an original.
The priceless masterpiece is hiding amongst this collection of forgeries. This still life with roses by Scottish post-impressionist painter S.J. Peploe is actually a fake by John Myatt. And John's also made a replica of British modernist artist Ben Nicholson's carved light relief. Summer Song by abstract artist Gillian Ayres, or in this case by ex-fraudster David Henty. David also painted a street scene by Lowry and claims to have done more Lowrys than Lowry himself. The 16th century Luca Cambiasso drawing, The Mystic Marriage of St. Catherine of Alexandria, was duplicated by the most famous forger of the 20th century, Eric Hebban, who some believed was killed for his craft. And finally, the real thing, J.M.W. Turner's watercolour of a Normandy landscape, Lillibon. This is the original. This priceless Turner masterpiece, the 3 finalists will need to spot.
Is that going to be more difficult?
I think it's going to be quite hard. All of the works are in different mediums. They've got inks, they've got watercolours, they've got oils. Some of them are by really famous forgers of the 20th century. I think they're going to have a tough challenge ahead of them.
And so will Rose, because in the event of a tie, the decision about who wins will fall to her.
What are you going to be looking for from these guys?
I want to see a really analytical approach. And I want them to look at the brushstrokes, I want to look at the patina, I want them to look at the varnishing. And I want to hear them speaking about this and see what they have to say. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up with these works.
Hi, Melvin.
The final 3 are competing to win their very own masterpiece, faked by John Myatt.
If I can fake that I'm an expert, then I'll have achieved something at least, even if I don't win.
Being through to the grand finale is a big deal now, you know, feel nervous.
Just want to get in there, you know, kind of let the nervous energy take over, and hopefully it will serve me well again.
The finalists will study the 6 artworks on their own and will have only 10 minutes to decide which one is the masterpiece.
Okay, I'll start at the front here with a Turner. Let's have a little look. So it's one of his watercolours, which I know have been faked a few times in the past, but it looks quite murky. I think a lot of people think that Turner watercolours are going to be quite zingy like his paintings, but quite often they're quite dull. There's like little etching marks, which I think this is looking okay for me.
I've never seen a pen and ink by Turner before. I don't particularly like that as a painting. This one I love. This is quite old, and I'm not sure it looks old enough to be that old. I would have thought the paper would be in a much worse condition than that.
Still Life with Roses, S.J. Peploe. It looks a little more sort of cubist. It's very angular. There's one thing that could be throwing me. It's this sort of rosebud on the left. Clumsy, maybe? I don't know. That's almost delicious looking. I want to take a bite out of it.
I'm not sure about the colours on that one. That is very bright.
It would be a hell of a fake, wouldn't it? Because the application's so thick.
No, Lowry. I'm from that neck of the woods, and he is prolific in. There's so many fakes. His kind of looseness with the legs is there, kind of little flicks for feet, but there's a few of the children's feet look a little bit heavy-handed again.
It's almost sculptural, isn't it? There's sort of been a build-up of layers. It seems to be on sort of 2 or 3 different surfaces. And this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
You've picked good ones here. You've not made it very easy.
I'm going to go back to the Turner briefly.
You've got 1 minute left, Michael.
1 minute, OK. Wow. That was very quick.
It's time to make a decision on which painting is the original.
I don't think this one looks old enough. I don't think that one looks good enough. I think that one's too bright. I'm going to dismiss the Lowry because it's just too hard, if I'm honest.
I don't think it's the Still Life. I don't think it's the Summer Song. I don't think it's Curved White Relief.
I don't believe the Cambiasso is actually on older paper. The Lowry is hard. I can't get quite close enough to it, but it could be the real deal.
Oh, Lowry or Turner, my 2 biggest loves. I'm going to go Turner.
OK.
I'm going to go Turner. I could have flipped a coin then and gone either Lowry or Turner, in my opinion. That was terrifying. If I get it right, I'm going to do a victory lap for the Ashmolean. It'll take me 3 hours, but I'll give it a good go.
I think it's Lily Bonn by JMW Turner. Although I don't think it's a particularly good Turner. It displays a lot of the characteristics that we saw in the genuine Turners at Cardiff.
OK, thanks very much. Thanks, Mel. Okay. See you later.
Thank you.
The pressure was much, much greater. I think because it was just me in there. The glasses, I was having to hold them to my face because my hand was shaking so much.
Just going on that I know there's a lot of Lowry fakes out there. I think that probably could be a fake. It does seem quite zingy. So my choice is going to be Lillibon by JMW Turner.
Thanks very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I'm nervous for you.
I'm not that confident. You know, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm proud of what I've achieved so far, and I'm not going to be too gutted if it is, you know, not Turner.
They all chose the Turner.
They've done such a good job. And it's testament to how good these finalists are, because these are some of the best forgers of the 20th and 21st century. And they have not managed to convince our 3 finalists. I mean, it's brilliant.
But there can be only one winner, and Rose is going to have to weigh up who reached the most considered decision.
So did any of them impress you more than the others? We had 3 great competitors there. There was Melvin, for example.
He was really working on his gut instinct, and he wasn't really going under the surface that much. That said, he did say some really interesting things.
What about Michael, then? How did he do?
I loved hearing what Michael had to say. When he was looking at the Gillionaires, he said, "Oh, this is so delicious. I want to eat it." I mean, what more can you want? I have to say, I'm really pleased he chose the Turner. Now, this is a lad from Manchester. I think he would have kicked himself had he got the Lowry wrong. Phil approached it brilliantly. He was cool, he was calm, he went through all of the different works in a very careful, well thought out kind of way. He too was a little bit confused about the Lowry. He wasn't entirely sure whether that one was the original, but he came to the very sensible decision that there are masses of Lowry copies out there, so this is probably one of them.
Michael, Phil and Melvin have no idea which original the other two have chosen, but only one of them can win an original fake by John Myatt.
Phil, Melvin, Michael, well done on getting this far. The first thing is to reveal that the original masterpiece is the Turner. You all got it right. Which, given the quality of the fakes alongside it, was extraordinary work, and you've obviously learnt a lot and come a long way. But there can only be one winner. And the winner is... Phil.
Oh my God! No way! Thank you! Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. It's unbelievable. I can't quite believe it, actually, at the moment. I'm still a bit trembly from it all, but yeah, I'm made up and I'm really proud of myself.
All the finalists were absolutely brilliant, but Phil really had that amazing analytical, methodical approach. He understands materials, he understands techniques, he's got good art historical knowledge. He's done incredibly well.
Phil, your prize, as you know, is to have any masterpiece in the world copied for you by the great John Myatt. So what do you want him to do for you? Which masterpiece do you want him to copy?
I'd very much like an Ernst Ludwig Kirchner, please, John.
That'll be a pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Kirchner was a German artist and one of the pioneers of expressionist painting in the early part of the 20th century. By getting the nation to find the fakes hidden all over the country, we've learnt what to look for in a true masterpiece. But there's just one fake left to paint. Kirchner's Inside the Forest for Phil.
This whole competition has been so brilliant because it's got people engaging in the art, it's got people looking at the detail, spending time looking at paintings and really questioning the paintings, having conversations about the paintings. It's been a thrilling experience, it really has.
All over the country, our fakes have made people look closely at British art. At the colour, composition, storytelling and techniques. The act of tracking down the imposters has made many see that there is more to art than they first thought.
We've really looked in depth, haven't we?
Yes. It's made you reassess. Yes. You look a lot more closely. It is a wonderful thing to do.
And more than ever before, we've learned about originality and to be on our guard against fakes.